So what if I told you that one of the most popular sleep aids out there isn't actually a sleep aid at all? Yeah, it's a bit of a head-scratcher. Today, we're diving into the really curious case of Trazodone, a medication that's living a surprising double life.
You've probably heard stories like this. A doctor prescribes a drug for one thing, maybe high blood pressure, and it turns out to have this totally unexpected side effect that's perfect for treating something else. Well, this isn't just a fluke. It's a super common practice. It has a name, and it's the key to understanding Trazodone.
Okay, so let's get the terminology down. It's called off-label use. All it means is that a doctor, using their professional judgment, prescribes a drug for something it wasn't originally approved for by the FDA. And I gotta stress this, it is completely legal, and, as you're about to see, it happens a lot.
And when I say a lot, I mean it. Just look at this. We're not talking about some rare fringe practice. Some studies suggest that up to 1 in every 3 prescriptions written in the US is for an off-label use. That's huge. So Trazodone's story isn't an outlier. It's actually a perfect example of a much bigger trend in medicine.
All right, so let's get back to our main character here, Trazodone. It was approved by the FDA way back in 1981, but guess what? It wasn't for insomnia. So how did this antidepressant make the jump from treating mood disorders to helping people get some shut-eye?
So, Trazodone's official, on-label job is to treat major depressive disorder. It works by playing with the levels of serotonin, which is this super important chemical messenger in our brains. Serotonin helps manage our mood, our appetite, and, you guessed it, our sleep-wake cycle.
Okay, so if it's designed to help with depression, why does it make people so sleepy? Well, the answer is kind of fascinating. It's all about how it interacts with the brain. It turns out this side effect was actually more useful for sleep than its main job, especially when you use a much smaller dose.
This breaks it down perfectly. It's like a 3-pronged attack on wakefulness. First, it blocks histamine receptors. You know that drowsy feeling you get after taking an allergy pill like Benadryl? Yep, that's the exact same mechanism. Then, it also blocks specific serotonin and adrenergic receptors. You put all that together, and you get a pretty powerful sedative effect. And this right here is the secret sauce. The dose for sleep is usually between 50 and 100 milligrams. That's way lower than the dose you'd need to actually treat depression. And at this low dose, you get all that sleepiness without the full-blown antidepressant effects, which is great because it also means fewer side effects and less of that next-day grogginess.
So we get how it works. But with all the other sleep meds out there, why would a doctor reach for this off-label antidepressant? Well, as it turns out, Trazodone has some pretty compelling upsides.
This comparison really says it all. You look at it next to something like a benzodiazepine, think Xanax or Valium, and the difference is huge. Those can be habit-forming, but Trazodone is not considered addictive. That is a massive plus for doctors and patients. And hey, because it's been around forever and it's generic, it's usually a lot cheaper too.
But that's not all. There's some interesting research suggesting Trazodone might actually improve slow-wave sleep. That's the super deep, restorative sleep that's crucial for your brain to clean itself out and lock in memories. It might even help people with sleep apnea wake up less during the night. So the benefits can be pretty specific and really appealing.
All right, now we have to flip the coin. For all its benefits, we have to take a really clear-eyed look at the risks. Like any medication that messes with your brain chemistry, Trazodone comes with a list of potential side effects, and it is absolutely crucial to know what they are.
Okay, let's start with the more common stuff, the things you're most likely to notice when you first start taking it. We're talking about things like feeling drowsy or tired the next day, maybe a stuffy nose, some blurry vision. For some people, it can even lead to fainting or changes in weight.
And now we have to talk about the most serious warning. The FDA put what's called a black box warning on Trazodone. That is the most severe warning they have. It says that, just like many other antidepressants, it can increase the risk of suicidal thoughts and behaviors, especially in children and young adults. It's really important to know that this drug is not approved for kids at all.
And beyond that warning, there are other risks. They're rare, but they are very serious. There's something called serotonin syndrome, which is a life-threatening condition from way too much serotonin. It can cause heart rhythm problems or arrhythmias. There's a rare but pretty infamous side effect called priapism, and it can cause your blood pressure to drop dangerously low. These aren't common, but if they happen, they're a medical emergency.
So, we've weighed the pros, we've looked at the cons, and we've dug into the science. But what's the final verdict from the people who actually write the rules? Where does Trazodone officially stand when it comes to treating insomnia?
And here it is, the big takeaway.
Despite how often it's used, the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, the top experts in the field, does not recommend Trazodone as a first-line treatment. So what does that mean? It means that while it can be a useful tool, it shouldn't be the first thing a doctor tries.
So if Trazodone isn't the first choice, what is? Well, the experts all agree the best place to start is actually without medication. We're talking about improving your habits, your sleep hygiene, and using powerful techniques like cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, which literally helps you retrain your brain to sleep better.
So where does that leave us? We have a medication that is clearly a powerful tool, but it comes with this really complex mix of benefits and some pretty serious risks. So is it right for you? Look, that's not a question an explainer can ever answer. It's a really nuanced decision, and it's a conversation that absolutely belongs between you and your doctor.